What is it that you're more excited about on this road trip?
Possibilities. I love getting out on the road because you just can't quantify the possibilities, the unknown. What can happen that we don't plan for? The people we meet, conversations we have, the stories that we get to bring back.
The open road of possibilities.
Spokane, Grand Coulee Dam, Wenatchee Forest, Edmonds, ferry across to Kingston, Sequoia, Port Angeles, Nia Bay, Olympic National Forest, Aberdeen, Snoqualmie Park, Selah, Pullman, Coeur d'Alene.
I prefer Daniel, but most people call me Dan.
My name's Jeremy Peterson.
I'm Vicky Carlson.
Richard Roche.
Jack Calvert has opened up his home.
My name is Ian Brown.
Someone I met on a bus in Oahu said, "Have you tried CouchSurfing?" And I just spent the day surfing, and so I thought he was joking because I had a surfboard with me. Anyway, I said, "What are you talking about?" And so he told me about the website, and this was in 2007. So I immediately went to the internet, checked out the website, and thought, this is the coolest idea ever.
I don't know. Somebody told me about it. Like there was this organization of people that were sort of crazy like me and like to get together and just get to know humanity.
I was coming up from Arizona with a friend of mine, and he said that we should stop and couch surf some people who live near some hot springs, which we never did do, but that's how I said, "What's the deal with the couch surfing?" And he told me.
It's our first long shot of Grand Coulee Dam. So we made it to Grand Coulee Dam.
January of 2010, I went through bankruptcy, lost everything, the farm, the restaurant, everything people in this country seem to think is important. And everyone's like, "What are you going to do? Life is over." And I'm like, kidding me? I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. Now nothing is holding me down. I've got no mortgage, I've got no bills, I've got no debt. I said, I'm going to go, I'm going to travel. And they're like, "You have nothing, how can you travel?" And I said, "I have CouchSurfing, and I have ingenuity, and I think the world's a better place than most people think." I'm forever indebted to CouchSurfing. And in the last 2 years, I have been to more than 50 countries on a budget that people in this country couldn't fathom that they would spend in 2 weeks on their vacation, and you can just stretch it out. And so I've stayed with Buddhists and nudists and Hindus and Muslims and Jews and every nationality you can think of, couples, singles, strays, dates, everything, anything you can imagine. I've had an opportunity to meet, and it's been fantastic. My very best friends I've met in CouchSurfing.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone, and I just mentioned to him that I wanted to get out in the world and travel and see places and experience the world. And he's been doing it for a while, and he introduced me to CouchSurfing.
Nice.
And it's been awesome ever since. I didn't even know anything like that existed, and I think it's a great idea.
A guy from France came, 23-year-old guy, and I'm making a cairn garden out in the desert here. And a cairn garden is a bunch of stacks of rocks. And they range from 4 to 7 feet high, because you can't get the rocks, too much higher than that. And so I took him out there, and we hiked out in the desert north of here, and came up a little canyon that is kind of a cleft in the basalt, turns into straight rock. And I took him up there and started looking around, and he saw one after another of these rock towers all over the place. And I've been working on that for like 8 years. I'll go up there and spend the day making a cairn. And now I'm dragging him, couch surfers, up there, and he and I made a cairn.
We did just share an awesome meal.
Yes.
Ian went down to the store, picked up just some basic stuff, some sausage, broccoli, rice. I happen to have a few things, so we compiled it. Instead of going out to eat, we compiled our food, and it had massive plates.
Yeah.
Right? It was pretty sweet.
And see, that's the thing with community. I mean, things like that can happen when you interact with other people. I mean, it's so, I think, CouchSurfing is amazing because it brings people together, engage in activities like we did of collaborating to make dinner.
Well, we made it to our first stop in the Wenatchee Forest. We were trying for the Stevens Pass hot springs, but apparently that is going from a public hot spring to a commercialized. So in the process, they've got it shut down. We've got our tent set up, good rain cover. We just took a long time to get the only wood we could find and what we brought with us dried out enough to cook, so we're getting dinner going. So tomorrow we should be clear of the Wenatchee Forest. We should be headed to Edmonds, hit the ferry, hit Kingston, and then it's Port Angeles and Nia Bay. So we're really looking forward to meeting up with our friends there, getting some conversation time, talk about a little couch surfing and see what that's all about.
Well, for one thing, I just have a desire to absorb as many things as possible in life, as we only have one, and I want to just experience cultures and people and places and food and everything.
It really is. It truly is a real friendly exchange of people. I've met some really wonderful people. I have not had anything near a terrible experience.
I'm Catholic, which is a little unusual in the couchsurfing community, being on the religious conservative side. But one thing about Catholicism is, one of the fundamental things is that it sees humanity as a family. And couchsurfing is a secular manifestation of that high value. Basically, you take people as they are, you love them, and you become one with them, and more couchsurfers, less war. You're not going to make war on a friend, and the more we do this, the more we interact and trust and celebrate one another, life's good.
Pretty excited
Why?
because I've never been on a ferry before.
Where are we?
We're leaving Edmonds. The boat is actually moving right now, and we're heading over to Nia Bay for part 2 of our trip. So far, we've used half a tank of gas. We've covered a lot of Washington State, and now as the ferry disembarks, we're going to be going across the Puget Sound to the Olympic Peninsula.
I'll never forget the first time I showed up at a host. I was in Northland in New Zealand, and I arrived with a friend who was there for 2 weeks, and my host, it was 10 o'clock at night, they handed us the keys. They said, let us show you how to lock up. We've actually got to go to bed. We're going to leave at 5 in the morning, so let us show you how to lock up. And I turned to her and I said, 2 strangers just walked into your home. You're giving us the keys and we're locking who out? You just let 2 strangers? Anyway, but from then on, there's been no turning back. I mean, I have made the most amazing friendships.
Yes, there is definitely one that always comes to mind, and that's when I was driving in the middle of the desert on an open road, straight on, and there was a giant sagebrush, probably taller than the hood of my 4Runner, rolling slowly into my path as I was going 80 miles an hour down the freeway. And I tensed up because it was right in my path, and I tensed up and cursed a couple times, and I hit it, and it was just dust as soon as I hit it, and I just laughed for the next 5 to 10 minutes straight down the road.
We connected with an Englishman living near the Ring of Kerry, right on the coast in Ireland, and I had my 3 daughters with me, and my 3 daughters and myself stayed with him for a week, right on the bay, and basically his shtick was getting couch surfers in. Wow. And so the week we were there were couch surfers from Germany, Scandinavia, Canada, everywhere. This one guy had an average of 6 people there for a night or 2 or 3 from all over the world, and it was sort of like this little United Nations community. And I cooked for them all because I'm an adult and I like to cook, and they were all kids, and it was like having one big family.
We were in Bali, Indonesia, and one of my aunts actually lives in Bali, and of course she knew a bunch of the locals and everything, and we ended up attending this mass cremation.
Oh wow.
So what we did is all of us, including me, we dressed up in traditional dress, sarong, headband.
Right.
I have or somebody, my mom or something, has a photo album with all these pictures of me in it. But basically, what they did is they, I believe they're, if I remember correctly, they're Hindu there, and they constructed these large iconic figures made out of wood and felt and different things, but they're really brilliant and extravagant looking.
Wow.
And they actually put the dead bodies inside of these iconic figures.
Wow.
And then everybody got together, and they picked up these iconic figures, and we all marched in a parade down the main road through this town until we came to a clearing, and then they set the iconic figures on fire, and everybody just kind of hung around, and
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
quite a sight, quite something to experience. So
Wow. That's a good story. Thanks for sharing it. Appreciate it. We are here at the most northwest corner of the United States. So this is what inspired the trip. We are here. We made it. Thanks for coming along for the ride. And it's not over yet. We're gonna go hit the rainforest, try to camp out on La Push Beach, and then it's down to Hoquiam and Aberdeen for some more interviews, making some more friends. It's been a wild ride. Thanks for coming along, guys.
The adventure of not knowing what's going to happen next. It actually shows us who we really are inside, because we have to adapt and we have to fully conform to, instead of conforming to, you know, what everybody else is doing, we actually have to become who we really are.
It's formed my life and personality to some degree.
kind of just had an interest in seeing and exploring the unknown.
A lot of what I experienced was a lot of storytelling to me. The adults would sit in the chairs and the sofas and things like that, and the children, my generation, sat on the floors and listened. And you pretty much, that was a part of the discipline, is to listen to the stories. So that, in relation to couchsurfing, that is pretty much, when I invite somebody, I have that image of what I experienced growing up. And so my intention is to share that.
It's like what my dear sweet mother was saying, that everybody's the same basically, no matter where I've ever gone. I found that to be more or less true. I mean, you can pick the community as long as people are hospitable to each other. You can pick it locally, you can pick it nationally, or you can pick it globally. And I think it's a community that exists around us now, and it always has. It's just that when people open themselves up and act hospitable to each other, it's already there. There's a worldwide community that I've found personally since I was a kid, up to I spent the winter in Ecuador this winter and was treated wonderfully by people. For people that are open to it, and if you can get through the fear and the suspicion and all that, it's a built-in, automatic, worldwide community that basically people are doing. It's the best of human behavior, treating each other nicely and being hospitable to each other.
But I think at the end of the day, we all just kind of like to come together and share our experiences.
I think probably the number one destination, for a reason why I would recommend any other travelers come here of any age, is Olympic National Park. I mean, we're surrounded by the most gorgeous mountains and glaciers and lakes and forests, rainforests. The ocean is right here. Lots of sailing. There's Canada is right next door. In an hour and a half you can get to Victoria. I mean, there's a lot of amenities that I think are overlooked by people that just go to cities. So if you're an outdoor enthusiast, this is a destination. If you're a city person, then I'm not sure Squim is the going to offer you a lot of the culture that you might be after, but there again, it's got more than most small towns will.
You know, it's a remote area, but it's a delightful area. It's got the ocean beaches. It's got the rugged terrain. You can hike around here. You can fish around here. You can whale watch.
There's the Yakima River, and I took my last surfer down that. We floated it for all day, and it floats through a really beautiful desert and canyon, and there's a variety of stuff. If you like to fish, I'll take you fishing around here. If you like to rock climb, you just drove by some of the nicest rock climbing around tonight, coming down White Pass. Mm-hmm. There's some really good rock climbing there. Mm. And there's so much water around here, so if you like to be on the water, there's tons of, even though it's a desert, there's tons of water here. Columbia, and there's all kinds of lakes. Yeah, that's not even counting the Cascades, which you just mentioned. They're 50 miles to the west. There's a lot of stuff in the Cascades.
I think in this country we are bred to be paranoid. I mean, by the media, everyone who I tell I'm staying with strangers, they freak out. Until they meet the strangers that I host, and they're like, those are cool people. And I would just say, even if you don't stay with people, you're not comfortable staying with strangers, use CouchSurfing as a resource to get information about anywhere you're going, or even just to meet up with someone temporarily. If I had all the money in the world, I would still CouchSurf. I would want to meet the locals and do those things. It's literally restored my faith in humanity. So wow. I would encourage people to not be afraid.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
This morning I got a request from a Lebanese guy who's coming in 2 weeks. So
all right.
He might be here for 2 or 3 weeks hiking in the Olympics. So I'm looking forward to that. They're not your average Joe on the street that do couchsurfing. They're always going to have a good story.
That's right, and that's what we're after. So thanks again. And I guess we won't take up too much more of your time, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jeremy, thank you very much.
Thank you very
both
much.
for the couch and for the interview.
Thank you.
And the shower.
So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
For sharing your home, sharing your food, and your stories. We couldn't have asked for anything more coming out here. It's been a blessing.
I am so delighted that you guys have come. You know,
Thank you.
I think this is great. I love to share in the rich culture here.
Nice.
So thank you too.
Well, I know you've got to get back to your family. This is as part of the rest of our trip. It's an amazing town, a beautiful place. I want to thank you for sharing your part of it with us.
Well, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Take care. Good luck to you.
Thanks for letting us into your home,
My pleasure.
being a part of your community. So thanks again, Jack.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you being part of the CouchSurfing.org documentary.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Learned a lot. Really glad to cap it off this way. And thank you all for being a part of it, following along. And we look forward to wrapping this up and getting it out on the site if possible. Thanks a lot, Ian.
Thank you.